It's been 14 years since we first got Pirates of the Caribbean sets and a Black Pearl. You fast forward 14 years and we get this updated version of the Black Pearl, or as LEGO calls it, the Captain Jack Sparrow's pirate ship. We're going with Black Pearl. And it is massive. It's 2,862 pieces. It has 9 minifigs, but it will cost you a whopping $380 or 350 euro. So in this independent review, we're going to break down all of the techniques, some of the pieces, these minifigs, and really grapple with whether or not this is worth that price and what we think it's actually worth, as well as just all these really cool features in this set. The front of the box is the black background with a blue bottom border, but the box orientation is vertical instead of horizontal. I actually really like the smoky glow behind the pearl rather than a regular glow. The back shows off a different angle of the ship, some up-close pictures depicting play features, and the set's dimensions, which, by the way, are 25 inches long and 25 inches tall. On the top of the box, you see all 9 minifigs, with the figurehead getting the 1-to-1 box ratio treatment. Inside the box are 22 bags, some of which are inside an additional cardboard box. There is a paper sleeve with the instruction manual, another paper sleeve with the set's 10 cloth sails. The large hull pieces are packed in there randomly, and some other large pieces in bags. The instruction manual has a dark gray background, and there are some call-outs in it, as we oftentimes see with the 18+ styled sets. The trivia in this instruction manual deals oftentimes with LEGO pieces, but still these kinds of interesting details make the building experience feel a bit more premium. Speaking of the building experience, Julia and Kiara were the ones who built this, and they could not stop raving about how fun it was to build this set. You start with the prefab hull pieces, of which there are 6. Then you start laying the groundwork for the mechanism that moves the cannons. There are some long Technic axles spanning the length of the ship. The construction of the cannons is all snot work. There are 2x2 plates rounded with a Technic pinhole, along with some Technic connectors that form the bulk of the cannons. These are then placed on some 2x2 plates that have pins coming up from them, and when you turn the gears in the back, the cannons move. All told, there are 12 minifig scale cannons, which is more than any other LEGO pirate ship ever. Another great feature is the ladder that goes up the center of the hull. This feature uses brackets and headlight bricks with other plates to place modified plates with bars at a half stud offset. The result is highly technical, but excellent. Placed next to the cannons, this forms a formidable 1-2 punch of elite building techniques. The rudder is yet a third great building feature. You start with a slot that holds a Technic plate with ridges, on which you place a blue gear that is connected through other mechanisms to the ship's wheel. Some Technic axles run through the back end of the ship that then connect to the rudder, and there's this downward facing arm that slots into a Technic connector that connects everything and makes the whole mechanism work smoothly. The play features aren't the only really interesting component to this build. There actually are quite a few angled techniques that are used, especially on the back end of the ship. We'll start with this section along the side, which has so much going on. You've got 1x3 arches that are placed over some plates with pin holders, slotting a section into the nook of a corner plate that itself is offset by half a stud, and then that is attached via a 1x1 round plate with a bar that's inserted into a 1x1 snot brick. This is actually a similar building technique that I've seen in the Galaxy Explorer as well as the Neuschwanstein Castle, and I love this technique. Now this, of course, just helps to set the angle. You then take the ship exterior and clip it in so that it angles inward toward the ship. Then you place another section that angles both up and in. It's just incredible. This whole section over here is just absolutely insane. The amount of creativity that it took to come up with these techniques is next level. The second cool angular build is for the cabin windows, which use mud guards that slot into the ice cream cone pieces that are angled out from the back and sides of the captain's cabin. You build 3 sections of these, then use hinge bricks to establish the angle, and then connect everything by using 1x2 bricks with bars that affix to 1x2 modified plates with vertical clips. There are more angles on the very back of the ship. You've got some snot work where you place the rowboat, and then a complex series of angles and snot work at the very front of the angel figurehead, including a telephone piece used to make sure the rigging is all secure. In terms of pieces, I noticed a new 4x4 wedge slope in black, that's brand new, the light nougat 1x4 arches, appearing for now, I think, 10 times in the set, the dark brown rowboat making its 4th appearance, and we have those incredible sails that are similar in texture to the Temple Bounty and are less papery than those old sails that we had as kids back in the 80s and 90s, or even the 2020 Pirates of Barracuda Bay. This set was a pleasure to build and would rank among the best builds we've had all year. I understand that some fans might be a little disappointed by the use of prefab hull pieces, but the rest of the build was so good, I'm not going to hold that against LEGO all that much. As mentioned at the top of the video, we do get 9 minifigs in the set. All of them have brand new torsos. Some of them have new hair pieces or faces, and then others still have more or new printing on their legs. We're going to start with Captain Jack Sparrow, who has a dual molded hair hat combination. The black braids and red bandana emanate from his dark brown tri-corner hat, flowing over his shoulders. His torso has a white V-neck shirt with a blue coat and a dark red and white wrap that partially covers his brown belt. The wrap flows down to his dual molded legs that are sand blue with dark blue pockets and dark brown boots. His back is also printed, despite being obscured by the braids. He has a second facial expression, which turns him from being smug and confident to more of a wince or expression of uncertainty. Elizabeth Swann has a great dress. It's tan with gold printed patterns, buttons, and white frills. This printing covers her torso and dress piece on the front, but just her torso on the back. Barbossa is yet another highly detailed minifig with a dark blue coat, dark red shirt, black sash, black belt, a silver necklace, and a white collar. There's so many details on this torso. The coat and the shirts then spill onto his legs, and the coat and belt appear on the back. He also comes with a double-sided faceprint with a human faceprint on one side and a more skeletal version on the other. His hat and hair are combined into a dual molded piece that works very well for his character. Once you add the black plume to the mix, you've got an elite minifigure, even if I think the face printing depicts a rounder face than the actual character. Will Turner has a great reddish-brown vest with a nougat pattern and white buttons, white shirt, scarf, and brown belt with a large buckle. His head has a mustache and goatee, prominent cheek lines, and long sideburns. His back has a lighter shade for his leather vest, while the belt continues along the back of the torso. His alternative face features a sneering look that seems to carry some worry in it. The Joshua Gibbs minifigure makes use of the Gandalf head from the Shire and the Balrog Book Nook, which I think works rather well here, as does the dark blade ponytail hairpiece. His torso shows off a tan shirt, sand blue coat with gold buttons, a black belt, a dark tan scarf, and some chest hair. The printing moves along to the back of the torso with some lines and buttons, and his second facial expression depicts a grimace. Anna Maria is similarly detailed. Her head and hair are reused from some prior minifigs, but her torso is new. Like Gibbs' torso, hers is tan with gold buttons, but her belt is dark green with a huge brass buckle. There's more printing detail on her back than some of the other minifigs, with various lines and a thick belt. I really like Cotton's sand blue rag hat, which is new in that color. I'm not a huge fan of the face printing because it doesn't quite look like him. As with the Barbossa figure, this is because his face is rounder, I think, than it should be, in terms of how it's portrayed. But he also has a very good torso, complete with the chain around his neck, holes in his shirt, and brown belt. As an aside, there is a blue and yellow parrot that accompanies this minifig, as you would hope. Marty is a decent minifig as well, with a white shirt, dark orange vest, necklace, and a set of keys around his neck. Now, on the back, it looks like his vest goes from dark orange to then dark red, but perhaps my eyes are playing tricks on me. Last, we have the angel figurehead, which is sand green here instead of being a darker shade that we see in the movie. The face, torso, and dress piece are all brand new and show off her robes rather well. The hair is not a new piece. It's been used in that color before, but only once or twice. And the wings are, again, not new, but they are brand new in sand green. Interestingly, we get a dark tan bird, which appears to be new in that color, but it's also a little bit of a different shade than we would see on the pearl, which I think is closer to a black bird. But this is still a great minifig overall in terms of the details. The CMF quality minifigs in this set, I would say, are definitely Barbossa and Sparrow, along with, I would say, Elizabeth, Swan, and definitely the figurehead. I think that the 9 minifigs probably aren't quite enough for a set that's $380, but LEGO has put quite a bit of effort into some of these minifigs with the amount of details that we get. Personally, I think there are a couple characters missing. It doesn't matter to me who they would include for the crew of the Black Pearl, but I wish that maybe Pintel and Rigetti were included, because I know a lot of fans wish that they were in the gift with purchase, which ended up not being the case. One other omission I will note is Jack the Monkey. I think it's kind of classic to have the monkey with the pirates, and we see that with the 1980s and 1990s castle theme, and I wish that we had that in this one. So kind of disappointed with that, but it's a small knock. The end result is a massive set that's over 2 feet tall and over 2 feet wide. The play features are charming and easy to work with, although there is very little interior. You get the captain's cabin, which has some food and a table, some chairs, and a couple of barrels. You can also lift up the deck where the rowboat is stored. That reveals the hold. There aren't too many details there, but you can see some of the cannons. However, the Technic mechanism that moves them is completely hidden. There are 3 masts, 2 of which have crow's nests where you can place some minifigs that are looking for the interceptor or any dangers of the open seas. The 10 sails are so nice and include holes where cannonballs and other projectiles have pierced them. At the top is a pirate flag that is also made from cloth. You can rest the ship on a base that adds height to the hull. It's a snot build, and you just place the boat on top of it. There's also an extension piece for the rudder, and the whole thing adds a level of class and height and depth to the set. However, it does add some extra pieces, so the trade-off here is that you've added a little bit of cost, but at least it's an accurate inclusion. Personally, if it meant knocking off $10 or maybe even $5 from the set's retail price, I would pick that. Besides the play features, the amount of detail is staggering. There are so much textures and angles that you can see new things every single time you look at the ship. Of course, that's partially because nearly the entire exterior is black, and many of those fine details are lost in the shadows. Like Barad-dûr before it, there is a distinct chance that this will be a dust magnet and take up way too much space on your display shelves, which personally I'm okay with. Of course, it also looks incredible overall and pairs well with other LEGO ships, even towering over the recently released Temple Bounty. Here is a shot of it next to other ships from the past, and it certainly has more details than maybe all but the updated Black Seas Barracuda from 2020. And I have to say, that really is a nice looking fleet. We're actually going to do a comparison video of these ships, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that one. All right, so far we've established that the building techniques are elite, and this as a display piece is going to dominate other sets on your display shelf by and large. There are some other considerations we want to make though before we hand out our rating. The first is going to be the execution of the set. Now, we've gone through a lot of the details of this set, so overall I'm completely blown away by how incredible this one looks. Now, the price is going to be a little bit more difficult to talk about. This is $380 US, 350 euro, and I gotta say it's not worth that much to me. Even seeing this next to the Temple Bounty, which was $200, to me confirms that it's probably worth between 320 and 350 US, so about 10 to 15% off of the regular retail price. One other thing I will note about this is analyzing the price is that this comes in at 13.3 cents per piece. Now, I'm not a huge believer in the price per piece metric, but I think it's interesting to compare it to other icon sets from this year and prior years, as well as other similar Disney sets. So this one does have quite a few large pieces, as well as the 10 cloth sails. You've got the hulls, you've got some of the masts, you've got some large modified slopes and curved slopes on the set. So it, to me, wouldn't shock me and doesn't surprise me that it comes in at over 10 cents per piece. But coming in at 13.3 cents per piece is higher than almost every other icon set this year. The exceptions being the Winter Village Holiday Express that is coming out in October. That has 16 large curved track pieces that I think raise that price per piece significantly. The other one, and it might be a little bit of a better comp, is actually the Shire. That was more price per piece than this, which has quite a few canvas pieces and things like that. Now, Lego was criticized for the price of the Shire, and I definitely agree that it wasn't worth that retail price. But this one isn't really much better than that. So I think it's a little bit priced at the high end of the market. Looking at prior icons sets from other years, this one just is significantly more than all of the rest. So this one is definitely not as good of a deal comparing to those. If we take a look at some of the large Disney sets, primarily the Beauty and the Beast castle and the updated Disney castle from a couple of years ago, this one comes significantly higher price per piece than those. And so I don't think you're getting quite as strong of a deal as you would for this set and compared to other sets. So that's why I would say between the $320, $350. The other way to go about it, if you don't think you're going to get this set on sale anytime soon, is to think about the gifts with purchase and the double insiders points. And so just having patience can help you with that. For us, we knew that we wanted to get a review out of this set as well as take a look at a comparison with the other pirate and soldier ships that we have. So we were comfortable going out and getting this when we could get the Captain Jack Sparrow's compass gift with purchase as well as the Sega Genesis controller gift with purchase. To me, if you look at $380 and then you get what Lego says is $40 of free Lego with those two sets, that brings it down to $340. Considering that the secondary market seems to value those sets at more than $20 a piece, then I think this becomes a better deal. So I would recommend doing something similar when you find a gift with purchase that you really like, on top of maybe a second gift with purchase and or insiders points. That's why I think like Insiders Weekend or Black Friday is going to be the ideal time to pick up a set like this, because I'm really not convinced you're going to find this on sale at different stores here in the United States, although wherever you are watching this from, you might have a different situation when it comes to those things. So that leads me to our rating. Now, I polled the entire family. Julia and Kiara were the ones who built it, so I weighted their review scores higher than mine and Autumn's, but in the end, it was a straight consensus of 9 out of 10. It was such a great build that the price takes some off of that. The lack of Jack the Monkey or maybe one or two minifigs drops that down just a little bit, but ultimately just a fantastic looking set and a fun build that I think it does warrant a 9 out of 10, at least from us. Okay, so that was quite the review. It was a long one, I know. Thank you for watching all the way through. If this helped you make up your mind as to whether or not you're going to buy this set or added some additional details that you were unaware of, go ahead, hit that like button. It would really help us out. Thanks for watching, and always remember to keep building together.